the smart packing is fantastic when you can right size a box right in line with your entire process, and it's ready to go, and you slap a label on it, it's out the door.
My name is Marissa. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today I'm joined with two of my coworkers, Blake Neal and Dena. We wanted to talk to you about packaging, fulfillment operations, and packaging automation. I'm excited to talk about this with you guys because I feel like you have interesting backgrounds and experience you can kind of talk about with this conversation. So do you mind kicking things off by introducing yourselves?
I'm Dena Holzmann. I am a solution designer. I have been with TGW for about 10 years in the solution design capacity.
You said my name is Blake Neal. I am a director of business development. So I typically focus on like our fashion industry and work to connect with new customers and bring them into TGW.
Cool. So let's start then on a high level. What I like about this topic is I feel like there's a lot of growing urgency around it, especially if you look at what's happening in the EU. There's regulations now around getting rid of dead airspace and boxes and things like that. And you're starting to see some of those regulations now come to the United States, which obviously puts pressure on supply chains. I'm curious, besides like the legal aspects, what other challenges are you guys hearing from customers when it comes to packaging?
Well, I think a big one that a lot of people are seeing now is branding. Not just a brown box. When you look at Amazon, for example, everyone looks and sees a little smiley face, and they know it's Amazon. So you'll see other brands doing something very similar. They want their branding on it. They want everyone to know this is from this company, and it's marketing right there every single time it shows up at your door.
Yeah, I think branding is really important, and also shipping costs. So like you said, trying to get the air out of those boxes so that the transportation cost is less expensive for the operation. We also see a lot of dynamics between what the brands want and the cost to fulfill it from an operational perspective. So there's always a trade-off between we want pretty packaging and we have all these different brands. And some customers, like the fast fashion customers, for example, they're okay putting, if they have multiple brands in their umbrella, they're okay putting all of their brands on all the packages and sending them out like that. But higher end brands, they're more particular and they don't want a different brand logo showing up on a brand from a different part of the umbrella. So there's always those dynamics that have to be considered in how best to meet the expectations for the brand.
I think the other thing you kind of mentioned with the luxury brands is you'll see the vast piece of it where someone might want a pretty bow on top of it. And it looks great, but that takes time. And I think looking at, what is your customer expecting and how much are they paying for this item determines what that packaging is going to look like at the end of the day. So it's something to always consider, I would say.
And it's not only about fashion too, right? Every industry cares about their brand. That's what sells their business. Right?
Yeah, that's where my brain was going to is I think especially with how competitive all these different industries are becoming, it can be really tempting to really play up that customer loyalty and that branding aspect. And so maybe you want to try to cover all your bases and I want all different types of polybags, all different types of cartons, every single different brand and logo on them. But I imagine that there's drawbacks to that too. So what can be some unintended consequences from kind of taking that route of having so many different options?
Yeah, there's always a trade-off in what it means to the brand and how important that is for the brand, but also the cost to meet the demand. And especially when you're looking at automation technology, right? When you're investing money into automation, you want to get the most out of that. And sometimes the branding can put limitations on that. So if this machine is set up for a particular brand, maybe it can only be used for that brand, or maybe it can be shared, but the process to switch from one brand to the other is time consuming or labor intensive, right?
Well,
so
two is you've got to have the packaging for all those different brands, the different sized cartons or poly bags, and you're going to want them assembled. So you're going to take up all the space on the floor, wherever it might be. So that's another thing to really consider is how much floor space or storage do you have just for these cartons ready to go out?
Yeah. It seems like it's this kind of interesting tightrope that our customers often have to walk. And so, when you're having these conversations with customers, how do you start to advise them about how to think about their packing operations so that they can achieve whatever their most important goals is, whether it's, less packaging material because of sustainability or regulations, unique branding because they really want to tap into the customer loyalty, or if it's just pure fulfillment speed, getting things out the door faster. How do you guys kind of talk about that with your customers?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying a little bit ago about the what your customer expects. Are you a luxury brand? Are you, let's say, fast fashion, or what are you? And what is that customer going to expect from you? And I think that's going to kind of dictate some of what you do and what kind of packaging you're going to be sending out. The other thing too is affordability. Whose pocket is it going to come out of? Like, let's say marketing or sales, they're of course going to want the pretty packaging with individual labels on it and things like that. But that takes time and money. Is that coming out of operations? Is that coming out of facility? Like, where's it coming from? So those are some things you really need to think about before you set in stone how you're going to be packaging and what kind of technology you might be using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And from a solution design perspective, before we can choose a technology that fits, we always start with a data-driven approach. So we take a look at what types of orders and the profile of the orders, branding, makeup, different shipping cutoff expectations, and that kind of stuff. And that helps us to inform what type of technology fits this requirement. And there's always a trade-off between the investment, the ROI, the branding, all that kind of stuff that we talk about when we're choosing the best technology.
Yeah, and I'm sure as you're looking at the data too, does that change when you're looking at like their daily operations versus peak operations? How does that kind of factor into everything too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see a lot of like peak season demand. So maybe 1 month of the year, the requirements from the operation are 3 times that of a normal day. And so the question is, do we automate for that season, or do we try to stick to more manual? Because the ROI is harder to justify for when it's only used for a short period of time. So those are the conversations that we're always having about what makes sense. But on the flip side, at those critical moments for the business, when so much of their revenue for the year is coming in that season, and you can't find people to do the job, automation becomes important too.
I think with the automation piece is figuring out how that's all going to fit on a truck as well, because it's the more you can fit in that truck, the cheaper in the long run it's actually going to be.
Sure.
Because less trucks, less cost. Yeah. So that's something to think about as well. And you were kind of mentioning the amount of airspace inside of a box. Those are all things to really think about during that peak season when you're shipping out so much. Like, those are things that can really change your margin at the end of the day.
So we've kind of talked a little bit about different challenges and maybe the complexity, but I think it'd be interesting to kind of pivot and talk a little bit more specifically about how this impacts omni-channel businesses, specifically some of the, fashion retailers or other companies that Blake is talking to. Because I think that kind of adds an additional layer of complexity where you're starting to now think, okay, maybe I need different packaging for the different sales channels, whether it's poly bags for e-commerce, cartons for retail, maybe it's a pallet for wholesale even. Or maybe it's different packaging based on the order profile size and time of year, like you've mentioned with peak. So talk to me a little bit about the benefits packaging automation can specifically do for omni-channel businesses.
Yeah, all of those dynamics are there, right? So we do see differences in retail and e-com and wholesale and what they need. But we are seeing a lot of innovations in the market too. So we're starting to see technologies that kind of bridge those channels more seamlessly. For example, our FlashPick solution is a perfect omni-channel system. The same technology can be used to pick any type of order. It doesn't matter if it's a retail or e-commerce order. The same technology can be used at any given day or hour, and it works for the same order types. In packaging, you can also find technology that can, especially with right size packaging, right? If it's a big retail order, make it big. If it's a small e-com order, make it small. So we're seeing a lot more flexibility in how packaging can serve the omni-channel experience.
Yeah, I think really the big picture with this is how do you streamline it? And I think that's a big step, because you can almost eliminate an entire process within the whole order fulfillment step. And that's a big deal, actually. You can remove employees that you might not be able to find, like you were saying, during your peak times. So there's some really big things to think about when we start talking about automation, especially in omni-channel. And yeah, the smart packing is fantastic when you can right size a box right in line with your entire process, and it's ready to go, and you slap a label on it, it's out the door. So those are all really important things to think about as you're looking into automation and packaging.
And on top of that, we can even possibly automate the picking part of it, like with a RoboFlex. So then you really have a zero-touch operation, which is incredible.
Yeah, if companies are really worried about the labor challenges that they're up against, that can be appealing. And we talked too, I think another interesting benefit possibly of the pick to pack is if you're worried about your warehouse space, you don't have to have dedicated manual packing stations because you've basically rolled that whole operation into your picking. So that's interesting.
Yep.
Now, obviously, none of us have a crystal ball, but in the regular conversations that you're having with customers, where do you think packaging automation is going over the next couple of years? What's really trending?
I think you kind of hit them on the nail on the head with the right size packing, the robotic picking. I think those are the big next steps. It's how do I eliminate a position? How do I make this more streamlined? Something that can just help to push products out as fast as possible. I think those are the things we're going to be seeing more and more of.
Anything that can make the operation as lean as possible, reducing touches, it's a big win, right? We see it in the picking and the inventory, the packing, all that leads to a lower cost per unit shipped out the door for the customer.
Yeah, and that is a key metric that a lot of our customers are looking at. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys, for your insights on this. Just to maybe wrap things up, I think it would be interesting to hear from you both. Maybe what's one key takeaway that you want our listeners to have from this conversation?
We didn't really touch on it, but I would say sit down with an integrator or someone that really understands automation to kind of talk through it. Even though this is what we do, automation doesn't always make sense in every step of the process. While robotic picking might work for one customer, it might not work for another one. So it's important to really think about your whole process, what your customers look like, your order profiles, and figure out what makes most sense for your business. That's probably the biggest key takeaway from this is just spend some time talking to the right people.
Yeah. Similarly, I would say don't be tied to the latest and greatest shiny technology. Take some time to shop around, do some demos, take a look at what is out there and find what's right for your business.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys saying that. I think that's why I was interested in having this conversation with you guys is these sort of conversations, especially if you can have them early on with customers, really ensure that they get the right solution for their business. Like you said, their requirements, their data is going to be completely different every single business. So if you can have this conversation, sit down and really figure it out with them, it can make a huge difference. Well, that's all that we wanted to cover today. Thank you so much for listening in, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode.